Welcome to this special series of videos about innovation. We are here today at the Innovation Days of Huawei, and it's really special that I have the time and privilege to speak to you for a couple of minutes about innovation. So, Dr. David, maybe you have a few minutes to introduce yourself to my audience and get to know you a little bit better.
Absolutely, thanks very much. So, hi everybody, my name's David Knott. I'm Chief Architect for HSBC. For those of you who don't know HSBC, we're the world's leading international bank, operating about 70 countries around the world with about 60 million customers. My job and my privilege and my challenge is to basically, I'm responsible for all the technology decisions we take to run the bank.
So one of the things and why I'm doing these interviews is I want to understand this term innovation. I see a lot of people, they claim they're doing innovation. I spoke to a couple of corporates already, but I'm curious to know, what is your definition of innovation as you see it?
I don't think I claim we have a precise definition. I describe it in terms of what we do, basically. So there's a number of things that we conspicuously brand as innovation within the organisation, most of which I'm strongly involved with, on the technology side anyway. So we have an area known as applied innovation, and what that basically is, I describe it as almost like a lab as a service. So the idea is that we have lots of bright people out across our business who have lots of fantastic ideas about how to improve our business using technology, and they really need somewhere where they can try out that business and experiment freely. The challenge that often happens, as you say, lots of companies claim they're doing innovation. The challenge that often happens is they don't do it in a structured and scientific way. So you end up with lots of pilots and proof of concepts that kind of drag on and on and on, never really reach a conclusion. So what we try and do in that team is to make sure we have a very structured scientific approach to say, we have a hypothesis, we're going to test that hypothesis quite scientifically, we're going to reach a conclusion, then we're going to figure out what to do next. And then what we also have as part of that team is a route out the lab to industrialise, doing the old classic crossing the chasm, innovator's dilemma stuff. So that's one part. The second part, we're a bank, we make investments. So we have an investments team as well. Used to operate as part of our investment banking team, just moved into our technology team. So our strategic investments team scans the market for startups and chooses those ones we should make investments in. And we deliberately choose to invest in companies we want to be customers of as well, because why would we put money into something we wouldn't buy ourselves? And then the third leg, we also believe that to be truly innovative, we have to be very well networked. We don't believe we have all the insight in the company or all the brains in the company. So we've created quite recently a technology advisory board that 8 famous Silicon Valley and Israeli luminaries in there, and Indian, who advise us on technology. And we get together with them about once a quarter, and they give us their views on what they're seeing in the marketplace. We explain ourselves to them. They tell us what they think we should be doing, and we figure out how to put it to work. Now, to be honest, those 3 things are the things I'm formally engaged in. There's lots of other bits of innovation going on, but if I'm a big company, you've got to give things a bit of structure and process.
Right. I mean, I like to get very practical on my videos. So maybe you can give us a few ideas of what you mean when you do, let's say, this innovation within HSBC. What are, let's say, the key industries that we can see that will be facing consumers in the next few years?
All right. Okay. So we're a global bank. We have a big customer base in Hong Kong and in China. One challenge, which is going to sound really basic, and you would have thought this might have been solved ages ago, is so we receive lots of handwritten paper, and the problem of optical character recognition and automatic interpretation has been solved for most countries with Latin alphabets for some time. For Chinese alphabets, it's a lot harder. So it's an alphabet with a lot more variation in. So we've been working with ASTRI, the Advanced Science Technology Research Institute in Hong Kong, to use machine learning to build algorithms which are capable of recognising handwritten Chinese characters with a high degree of recognition. And what that allows us to do is to, the customers unfortunately still see the forms, but those get processed with a much higher degree of accuracy, lower degree of dropouts, allows us to reduce our costs, allows us to serve customers quicker. So that's an example. I think if anyone wants to get practical, that's a real practical, somewhat behind the scenes innovation. Other stuff that we're working on that customers will see directly. So we're working quite heavily on biometrics. Securing customers' interaction with the bank is an incredibly important thing to do. We believe the age of the password and the age of the PIN code and the passphrase and that sort of thing will soon be dead. We'll identify and authenticate ourselves using aspects of us which have been digitised. So we've already integrated Apple Touch ID into our experience. We're working with various companies we've got a voice ID service launched. We're working with a bunch of other companies to integrate a range of biometric credentials into the banking experience. And lots of people will see that. And what we hope as well is we'll be able to offer people some choice into what they prefer to use. Different people have different things. Some people use fingerprint, some people use iris print, etc. We'll offer people different ways to do that securely.
When you look at, let's say, the overall, let's say, startup atmosphere or digital trends in finance, fintech, where do you see, what are the main trends that you see looking around you and people approaching you, I guess?
Yeah, so there's loads and loads of different things, but there's a few things that emerge very, very strongly. Artificial intelligence and machine learning is riding the hype cycle at the moment. I think it's one of those things that has a huge amount of substance behind it, has become massively more easy to consume over the last couple of years, and will make a huge difference to our organisation. But we have people approaching us pretty much every day with some sort of machine learning solution. We're being quite careful about who we choose to work with in that space. Cybersecurity. So cybersecurity, the threat landscape continues to evolve. People who help us respond to that threat landscape continue to emerge. We'll continue to engage very actively with that ecosystem and figure out what we use and where we use it. Blockchain. I think if you're a bank and you don't have a blockchain experiment going, then you're probably missing out somewhere. So we're quite consciously active in this space, but trying to be very focused. So lots of blockchain advocates have touted it as the answer to absolutely everything. We think it's a good answer for certain problems. And so we're focusing on those parts of our business where the use case fits. It's a connected ecosystem of different participants who don't necessarily trust each other, but still want to exchange data with each other in a secure fashion. Blockchain fits well. They're trying to think of other things, loads of data technologies. So data, blockchain, biometrics, artificial intelligence and machine learning, all things digital and customer experience as well.
To wrap up this quick chat, I ask a lot of my startups in the show, specifically obviously fintech startups, where they see, let's say, the future of retail banking. Maybe you have like one short statement to understand your outlook.
It's a very difficult question to answer. If I could predict the future that well, then I'd probably be doing a different job. It's going to sound like a slight dichotomy. The future of retail banking, I think, you will see the bank more present in customers' lives and less present in their lives at the same time. I'll explain what I mean by that. It'll be more present because we'll make it easier for people to work with their bank. So people want to get advice, they want to see what other people like them are making investments in or how they're managing their money. We'll make that a lot easier to consume and a lot easier to access through digital means. At the same time, we recognise that not everybody wants to deal with their bank all the time. Most of the time when they're interacting with their bank is actually when they're making payments of various types in their normal everyday life. And I think you'll see the friction increasingly drain out of that experience so that people can interact with the real world enabled by IoT and pay without even, obviously they need to authorise things, but with the absolute minimal friction in that payment experience.
So, Dr. David, thank you very much for giving us these insights. Thank you very much, everybody who tuned in today. Thank you for your attention and have a great day.